Hello, new Veridian associate. This is Meredith Burkich, member of the Veridian Corporate Executive Team, and I am here today to talk about Who Do You Know, step number 3 in our 8-step process. On the line, we have Joel Brizzi, who is a partner with Veridian from East Rutherford, New Jersey. Hello, Joel.
Hello, Meredith.
And we also have Platinum partner Ed Kenny from Stevenson, Maryland. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Meredith. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to have you on the call. All right, well, what we're here today is we've got some new people listening in on this CD, and they're here today to learn about the list, the importance of it, what does it mean, how do you build it, how do you work with it, how do you use it to take your business forward. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of spend the next 15 minutes or so chatting with you. Both of you are veterans in the network marketing industry with a lot of years behind you. So before we get started, I really want them to understand what valuable assets you are to the Veridian team. Joel, would you just start out by giving us just a minute or two about your background and also your familiarity with network marketing?
My background is I am in the water filtration and spring water business for 22 years, Meredith. I've run this company. I also serve as a councilman in a municipal role in the borough of East Rutherford, and for the last 16 years and 13 of those years serving as the police commissioner in this municipality. My background, when I started my business 22 years ago, was with a company that sold water filtration systems through the network marketing channels, so I had a nice foray or entrance into that several years ago. And in Veridian have grown to be the level of partner and continually work the business daily.
Awesome. And you've obviously got a very rich history. So what are like your top couple of favorite things that you've seen throughout your time in network marketing?
Really just the ability to help develop some of your people into leaders. And when I say develop, I don't just mean to where they're making money. You see them personally develop, professionally develop, and as they become team leaders, obviously, in the end, you benefit as the leader of that group. So that's been a really, really exciting part of this business. And also to be able to work across line with people like Ed Kenny and other leaders that we have on the ALC that really have no direct interest in your business, but been able to really work together to help build the entire Veridian team as part of Generation V.
Great. And, of course, for those of you that are new to the business listening, the ALC is our Associate Leadership Council, and that is a very select group of people who we work with at corporate. They serve a one-year term where we get to have weekly calls, brainstorm, talk about the business, and really stay completely in touch with the people who are actually building and growing a team. And Joel is currently serving on that as well. And now Ed Kenny is a former member. Again, we like to rotate them off and give them a rest because it is a very big commitment that they make. But Ed Kenny is currently emeritus ALC member, which means that he has served in the past, and I'm certain will be asked to serve again. So, Ed, just a little bit of background on you.
Well, thanks, Meredith. My name is Ed Kenny. I live in Stevenson, Maryland. My background from a business perspective is I had 10 years at Merrill Lynch in the financial services, dealing with high net worth individuals. But at that point, after 10 years of doing that, I had an opportunity to buy a business. And back in 2001, I bought a business that was taking advantage of telecom deregulation with a company called Nextel. I became an independent reseller for Nextel. And then it wasn't until just last year that I found out about Veridian. So I'm relatively new in the network marketing business. I've got about a year and a half now, but I found it to be the most fascinating business I've ever been a part of, because now I've been able to sell my business with the one that has a lot of overhead and employees and focus on Veridian full time. And it's just so rewarding in so many different ways to be part of this company and to grow and work with other professionals and individuals to help them build their business. And like Joel mentioned, to be able to work with some of the best in the business, some of the brightest minds in network marketing are right here at Veridian. So I'm able to learn from them. So it's a reward system all the way around with Veridian. So excited to be on the call today.
Great. Well, thanks again, you two. So let's get into the meat of it. Let's talk about the list. And I have some questions that I'd like to ask that we hear from new people are kind of top on their minds. So let's get started with that. when they start building a list, so you have your new people, the people that are listening to this call right now, and they hear this list. What exactly is the list, and how do you help as leaders work with people to build them up? Ed, would you take that one?
Sure, absolutely. Building a list, is one of the most key things that you can do in the beginning and ongoing into your Veridian or network marketing career. The first thing I do with my new associates is I let them know how important it is to have a list and why they should take the time to develop a list. And it all stems from when you first hear about this business, your names are running through your head as you're in bed at night. And you can't capture them in your mind. You have to get them down on paper because you're going to think of people constantly. So the first thing you want to do is sit down with your new associate, and that's what I do, and I tell them why it's important to make a list, and I start to actually construct a list with them. Because at the end of the day, the list, it is their inventory for this business. They're the people that they're going to be working with and introducing the business opportunity to from day number one. So at that point, I show them how important it is why it is to create the list, but also to start to categorize the list, and usually recommend it into little groups, so to speak, as family and friends is one list, co-workers as another, other kind of, associations that they're involved with. There's so many different categories you can make for that list. But then I spend some time with them and quality time on creating that list because it is going to be the most valuable asset that they have moving forward, and it's got to constantly be updated. So taking the time in the beginning emphasizes how important it is to create that list. You have to get these names on paper. And that's the first thing that folks should be able to do, that should want to do to start building their business, is getting that list created. So I really sit down and show them why it's so important to create that list, because they're going to be referring back to it. And it's got to be organized information.
And now, Joel, so just to have you weigh in on this, which is, it like Ed was talking about, you have all these names kind of filling around in your head and spilling out, and so you go ahead and want to put them down on paper. But as people are then looking at this daunting group of names, how do they go about really kind of organizing it and breaking it out and saying, okay, now what do I do with it now that I have all of them actually on a piece of paper?
Well, it's important that you start off. You have your list, and that you, what we would call, grade the list. And what you want to do is you want to grade that into several categories, and that would be categories of, hey, these are my A list people. This gentleman owns 10 buildings, and he's a property management company, but he also owns a Dairy Queen that his wife runs, and then he has another, and he's a multi-business person. So you say, listen, this is one of the A guys. This is going to be a great guy or a great gal that I need to get in touch with. And then you go to your people who knows a lot of people, who can get me in touch with, more business-type people. And so you're grading your list. And we're going to get back to that in a little while, the importance of where it is and why you want to grade your list, because the list is going to be one part of it, but contacting it, of course, how and when and with who is something that we're going to touch on in a couple sections from now. But so it's important that you grade the list, and Ed touched on something at the end of his little presentation there, and that's that you're constantly upgrading the list. And and updating the list. And basically, to give a quick example, I had an appointment with a new doctor last week, and the first thing that popped into my mind was, hey, I just got a new potential customer, and potentially somebody that I would show this business to. So you come home and you take his business card and you put it into your list, and you have, some people have a written list, some people are more computer literate and they do it on the computer through Yahoo or Google Contacts or whatever it is, and it goes into their file. So you're constantly updating and adding to that list, and if you start off with the right amount of names and numbers, you'll never run out of people to contact.
I was going to say, I think that from what I've seen, of course, being around the industry now for 2 decades, is it's almost like it's a living thing. It's something that it should always be growing. You should never be satisfied that, I've got all the lists I've got all the people on this sheet here that I need. I don't need to grow it anymore, because there's a number that you kind of want to start with. And Ed, what do you think is a really good number for our new associates to shoot for when they're filling out their list?
Well, we always talk about 100 names. 100 names is something that's very achievable. At first when I started putting down my list, I thought 100 people. It was a little daunting, but once you start rolling with it and you really start to look at the sources from where you're going to get your names from, the first 25 can come right from the top of your head. You could sit down and you could rattle them off and put them down on paper in 10 minutes. And then you start to dig a level deeper. There's tools that we have called like memory joggers that can help know who's your doctor, who's your painter, who's your contractor. There's about 100 of those who are these folks, and you can put in a name for every single one of them. So as a matter of fact, everyone can put 100 people down, but that's a great number to start off with. And you'll see as you start to develop that list, names start popping into your head. You go in through your cell phone. You go through all sorts of different places to consolidate that list. But getting 100 is a good baseline number, and then you categorize it from that point. But I think that's a great number to start off with, because it gives you a good running start to continue to call these different folks. So 100's not something that's abnormal. It's very, very normal. You could probably get that done in an hour.
Yeah, and it does. I have seen that before, where it does sound a little daunting at first, but Joel, you have a lot of different areas in your life where you meet people, know people. Your circle of influence is very large. So, what do you recommend as far as sources that people, if they do run out and they're trying to brainstorm, but they sort of hit a roadblock, where do you recommend that they go to try to make sure that they come up with those 100 so they have something to work from?
Well, if you do what Ed said and you start off with 100 names, and I think that's way underestimating. I think there's a statistic that at the age of 21, the average person knows 700 people. At the age of 25, the average person knows 2,000 people. And what you need to do is, and I knew you had mentioned this to me, Meredith, about where do you go to, and just out of quick curiosity, I went onto Google and I typed in memory jogger list just to see what would come up. And here there's a list of, to break it down to see how simple it is to make a list for the person that says, I really don't know that many people. And it just starts off, the first thing, it's in alphabetical order. It says across the street. So who lives across the street from you? Who's always giving parties? Who's ambitious? Who do you know that's an apartment manager, appliances, attractive, the Avon lady? Who do you know that's bald-headed? It really breaks it down to, to jog your memory, which is called the memory jogger. So that's a simple way to just sit there. And if you really think about it, anybody that you've come in contact in your life, personally, professionally, and I love this one, is who do you do business with? And the great thing about that is you're patronizing that barber, that dentist, that nail salon. They need to hear what you have to say, and they need to consider using you for your product and looking at your opportunity. If not, I could tell you there's 4 nail salons on that same block. You could find a new nail salon and have a new person on your memory jogger. That's a huge, huge asset. The next thing is, everybody has, we'll call it a black book for lack of a better word, your little personal phone book. Now it's a cell phone. Everybody has numbers in their cell phone. I've also taught that you could just grab your local yellow pages and start off with the first category in the yellow pages of A's, and it's accountants, then attorneys, then insurance, and it goes right down the line. And you basically just really jog your memory that way, to just really think about who do you know. And the other thing that happens is I'm looking at my desk. And on my desk, there's got to be 200 business cards here, rubber band in different piles. This one I met, these people I met here, these people I met there. So you're constantly adding. And if you're not in the circles that Meredith had mentioned, and I travel with a lot of influential people, then you need to get into those circles. And it's very simple to join common interest groups, whether it's an activity at your church, your synagogue. There's networking groups. there's Toastmasters, there's Le Tip International, there's local networking at restaurants all the time around in this area that I'm in, and you're constantly meeting new people, and they're going to want to sell you what they do, whether they're an accountant, whether they're an insurance agent, whether they're a realtor. And, of course, they're going to have to hear what you have to say because you're going to hear what they have to say. So you can really, really never run out of names. And I can tell you that the original 100 names that I wrote down, I haven't even gotten to probably the 25th name on my list just because of the offshoots and asking for people for referrals and running into somebody that you went to college with, and you're constantly adding and growing that list. And really what you want to do, and who you want to put on that list, and just touch on that, and then we'll go back to you for that, Meredith, is really you want to think of really the best quality people that you know. Just picture that you just bought $1 million franchise, and you're looking for 2 or 3 people to really partner with and help grow that franchise. These are really the type of people that you really want to have on your list. And you don't necessarily are not looking for your brother-in-law that sits on the couch and hasn't worked in a year and a half and watches every sporting event that ever happened. I'm looking for the person that really, the guy or the gal that really is a go-getter and has really no time to do this. Those are the people that are going to be best for you.
No, that's all really good stuff. And I know that going back to your yearbooks, people who do that, just kind of looking at old Christmas card lists, holiday lists, Hanukkah lists, those are always good places to start as well. But especially the yearbooks are a lot of fun because then you can get back in contact with people that you haven't talked to for a long time. So, and I think as we talk about the grading and what to do with it, there's one method that's out there, and it's the 5-star rating method, which really does help you identify your A team. Because to your point, exactly what you just said, Joel, which is, hey, you don't necessarily want to go with who needs it the most, but who you think would really be good at it. And, of course, there's some 5 specific categories that people talk about. The first one is are they entrepreneurial? And that's just really people that kind of they're self-starters or self-motivated, because in this business, of course, you don't have a boss looking over your shoulder. You're not punching a time clock. You've set aside a certain number of hours during the week, during certain times of the day to do this business, and it's really up to you to get the job done. So entrepreneurial people typically kind of have the what are the challenges of running a home business down. So that's a good, you can put a check mark next to them then. Secondly, you have are they successful, and not necessarily have they made a lot of money, but are they successful in life? Are they successful when they're on a committee? Are they successful running a home group? Are they successful in organizing tots? And having your kids come play days. I mean, really, because organizational skills and just being successful in time management, it is not always about the money. It's just are they good at managing their time and making the most of it? And so you can put a check mark next to them if you think that suits them. And then you move on to are they ambitious, or are they motivated? In other words, are they hungry? Do they want something more out of life? That's another check. And are they well connected? It always helps if they have a lot of people that they know and are respected in the community. That's a check. And then lastly, of course, this is a company that is passionate about the environment, passionate about green energy, clean energy. So if you know people that are, really always recycling and doing the right steps to minimize their carbon footprint, you probably already have somebody that's going to connect with our mission and vision here at Veridian as well. So, and when you get those 5-star recruits, of course, that gives you an idea of who you're working with. But I think that one thing, and Ed, I'd like it if you'd expand on this, is sometimes I know people have sat down with a list and started to pre-qualify who is and who isn't going to be good at that. Is that a downside to this list building exercise, or what do you think?
Absolutely. One of the biggest mistakes folks can make in this business is to actually prejudge someone. They think, the name comes into their head or it gets put on the list, and they bypass it altogether, saying, no, that girl is way too busy, or that man is way too busy. They own a business. They're doing all sorts of stuff. They would never be interested in making extra money. I mean, that's really what's happening when you prejudge. You're disqualifying someone from taking an interest in this business, when the most successful people at this business are some of the busiest people already. Joel mentioned it earlier. He's, who's really busy right now? That's a great person to get in touch with because that person can multitask. So prejudging is one of the biggest things that associates can fall trap to, and you just never know who is going to love this business. I myself, a year and a half ago, was a business owner. I had 30 employees. I was on someone's list. I was a very busy person, very active. I got a call, and someone asked me to watch this business. I said I respected the person who asked me to watch it. I watched it, and I thought, wow, this is the most explosive opportunity I've ever seen in my life. So I wasn't too busy to take that half an hour, and now I'm obviously not too busy to continue to grow a huge Veridian organization. So I could have been prejudged by a lot of different people as someone not to call. So prejudging really, is a major pitfall. So do not prejudge. And for those who think that they can't create a list, they just don't know anybody. One person that could open your whole world up to thousands of people. So sometimes it's not who you know, but it's who they know. So everyone can come up with a list of at least 100 people if they want to. They can go through all the different databases that they have. All they have to do is really pick out their cell phone and go through their cell phone. They'll find 100 people that are logged into that. So everybody knows people. The key there is that they don't want to prejudge anybody in this business. Everybody's qualified, and everybody could be an associate.
So, Joel, what do you think, what Ed's talking about, as we're kind of moving the new associate listening today, as we're moving them through how to build a list, how to put together, not prejudging, just doing a big data dump and putting it all out there. Once they have that list, they're going to bring it, to meet with their coach. And you're going to start working with them to get ready to start making calls. Do you think would you really give the advice and think it's really important that they wait until they talk to the coach, in other words, the person that brought them into the business or the up-team leader, before they actually pick up that phone or start making appointments to talk to the people on the list? What are your thoughts?
Well, associates, people in general, have a natural tendency. You come in, you see the opportunity like Ed did. He got excited. He said, this is great. I could see this being such a great growth. And right away, you do what you're asked of, and you put your list together. And now all of a sudden you're so excited, you just want to run out and tell the whole world, how great this is. And everybody's just going to come running to you and sign up, and you're going to start making your own calls. And there's these 100 names or 200 names on your list. And you start making the calls, and you get to your 8th or 10th or 12th one, and nobody's really interested in hearing what you have to say because you really don't know what you're saying. You're too excited. You're kind of scaring them. So it's really, really important that you sit down with your coach, your upline. Sometimes even we work with sidelines. Just sit down with somebody that knows exactly how to present this. And I get a kick out of hearing Bob Q, Quintana, talk about how he sits with somebody, he shows the presentation, and immediately following, he calls Joe O and does a three-way call to answer the questions. Now, here's a guy with over 40,000 customers in his team, making significant monthly checks, still utilizing his upline. He knows what to say. He knows how to answer the questions. But it's better to show your new guy, your new gal, exactly how they're supposed to duplicate this. And what's going to happen is if you don't use your coach, what's going to happen to you is somewhere on that list of 100 or 200 names, somewhere on there, could be the 75th name, could be 80th name, is a diamond, is the person that could really help bring your business. It could be Bob Q, it could be another Ed Kenny, it could be a Charlie Costello, it could be one of these superstars that you'll never get to because you didn't stay with it and you didn't continually use your coach and get to those names. And I'll give a quick example. It's a card collector that collects baseball cards, and he gets out a shoebox and he starts looking through the shoebox. He doesn't look at the first 20 cards and find nothing and quit. He continually goes. These are the true collectors, and they're going to know that somewhere in that box there's going to be a Mickey Mantle rookie card. So if you don't get to that full box, you don't get down through that full list because you didn't use your coach and you didn't follow the system, you'll never get to that diamond, and he'll wind up someday in somebody else's organization, and you're going to really want to kick yourself in the pants. So it's really, really important that you do work with your coach, your mentor, your upline to actually, and it's not necessarily forever, but it's until you understand how this business is presented and the excitement level that you need to sometimes control yourself, or that you need to properly present it. And once you get to that comfort zone, then you'll be doing the same thing for your team and for your people that you're going to mentor.
That is very well said, Joel. Thank you. And Ed, what would you like to add to anything that we've talked about so far today? Just in the area of the list, the upcoming CDs. We're going to talk about contacting and inviting. But for now, as far as this piece of the process, step number 3, what would you like to add?
Well, I thought that first of all, Meredith, was brilliant by Joel about the baseball card collector. I used the kid has a jar filled with pennies, and there's one dime in there, and someone says, if you find the dime, you get candy for the rest of your life. Well, that kid's going to go through, and he's going to see all the pennies, and he's just going to chuck them over his shoulder until he gets to the dime, because that's the diamond. That's what he's looking for. So you're sorting, and that's what the list is all about. One of the key things about the list, and what I did was I had my list, and I played my confidence against myself and for myself. So I'd go through, and the main objective was just to get an appointment to show someone the plan. So I would talk to my upline sponsor and get a little excited about before I started making my calls, and I would get some great advice right before I started making my calls. And I would get an appointment set up on the books, because that's all my only objective was to get an appointment set up on the books for a half an hour to show someone the business, show the plan. And when I was able to do that, I got so excited and I got so much confidence, I started picking someone else from the list that was maybe an A player, because now I had this confidence inside of me. So one of the key things about having that list and always having it with you is when you get good news or you get some confidence, there's your information, your data right in front of you. You could use that confidence to propel yourself and create momentum in setting up more appointments.
Joel, closing thoughts?
Just basically to reiterate on a couple of the points that I think are the key is really sit down, look at something that'll jog your memory, that'll really help you sit there and write down these names. Think of really the most qualified, most ambitious people that these people you will be working with to build your business. So obviously you want to find the most qualified, and you really need to constantly and consistently update and add to your list. And you'll never, and you could do that through referrals, you could do that again through networking, and it's really a huge boost, because let's face it, this is a people business. Yes, we sell green energy, but it's a people business. And as Ed said earlier, people are going to be your inventory, and that's the most important part that you're going to need is people to contact, and you'll never ever have idle moments. You'll constantly be expanding on that list.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Joel Brizzi, partner with Veridian, Ed Kenny, platinum partner. Thank you for being with us today. And for those of you listening, just kind of remember the high points from this training, which is make your list. Just pretend that each name on it is worth $500, and lock them down, get them written down, review it with your coach, sift and sort it, prioritize it, update it always, grow it frequently, keep a copy in a very safe place, and always keep in mind that the list is your most important business asset as a network marketer. Thank you for joining us. We are Generation V.